most healers come at it from that place. But what's happened, I've only done a couple healings, as I shared with you this year. And both times, both people were so blown away, they almost couldn't function. And I've asked both of them for testimonials, and I said they could use their initials, because just like what you said earlier, they're both kind of in the, with Jewel, they're both walking around in the 3D world. They both have their own businesses. They both have a quote-unquote reputation that they want to uphold. And what happened with them, each of them, even though it was kind of for what they needed at the time, they each went out of body. They each had an experience of seeing themselves as energy and not form. One person in particular saw his future. He saw himself fly above my house, fly above the bay, fly above the planet. And it absolutely blew him away. I knew that he was already very open. He just wasn't aware of it on a conscious level. And the other person is someone who I've known. And so, you know, the galactic part of me doesn't always show up. It depends who I'm with.
Same. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, damn, it's not there right now.
I know.
They call you, like, can you help me? I'm like,
everybody needs to see that part of us. But the other person...
I'd like for everybody to see it.
Well, it'd be great, but some people would probably just pass out. I mean, these people have both known me for a while, and they still didn't, they couldn't even fathom that this was part of me. So the other person had felt hands all over her. She was crying, she was screaming, you know, and I told her, you know, let it out, because it seemed like she was trying to hold back what was coming up. And so when it was all done, again, she was stunned. She said she felt this being like trying to hang on to her for dear life, and felt it being pulled off of her, and she never felt so much love in her life, and she basically just couldn't even talk. So, you know, but both these people, they're like, oh my God, everybody should experience this, but neither one of them, they're like, well, what would we tell anybody? And they both weren't comfortable, like, saying what happened to them, because for fear of ridicule, you know? But and I think that for both of them, it was to show them there's so much more to you than you can even fathom.
Yeah.
And not everybody gets it to that level. Some people I've worked with, they're, you know, they just lay down and they go into a deep sleep and they just feel really juicy and good. It's not everybody that has a big bang. But the piece I sent you earlier, what I am doing is opening parts of them that may have been dormant for a very long time, so they can then access, you know, more easily. I don't really like the term higher self, but they can access higher dimensional aspects of themselves. There's kind of like an opening that's been cemented, so to speak, after they've engaged with me. So, anyway.
And what do you want people to know about sacred sexuality and the power of true love?
Well, that it is not only a potential, that it's a true possibility. Most people look at love from the perspective of what they can get, how they can be filled up. Oh, somebody loves me. This person acknowledged me. You know, I'm not worthless, or they think I'm pretty, or you know, most of us are looking to be fed by love, rather than to have so much love that we just want to share, that we can do nothing else but share it. It's like overflows and bubbles out of us. But it's a lot bigger than the human romantic love that most people, you know, perceive as love. It's having a love of life, a passion for life, a reverence for all the beauty that this world has to offer, whether it's through nature or animals, or, you know, or just looking at an amazing sunset. I've been teased by other people because I just gush about, you know, a spectacular sunset. But it's really knowing that life force that we all emanate out of is in every living thing. And the potential for us to feel love within ourselves is all around us. It's not, you know, not like we have to save it all up for one special person. And, you know, I am the consummate romantic. I love romance. I always have. I've always believed in true love. And true love is like, it's looking at somebody and just having the most profound, overwhelming sense of joy, of peace, of connection with somebody. The only way to really be in that space, though, is if you already absolutely love and accept yourself. Otherwise, when you hook up with somebody, it may be wonderful at the beginning, and there's this, total exchange that's very dynamic, very fluid, and oftentimes what comes about after the initial contact is the stuff that's in our energy field that allows us to believe that we're not lovable, we're not worthy. And ultimately, soulmates bring up and out those parts of us that are unified, that are whole, that are complete, and they also bring out the parts of us that don't feel lovable for the most of the time. The majority of people on the planet right now are relating from the energy of their personalities. So their likes and their dislikes, and what do you do for a living, and how much money do you make, and he has a cute ass. I mean, just very generic, personal preferences. That's why Match.com and all of these dating websites, they serve their purpose, but they're really only allowing somebody to engage at the level of their personality, not of their soul. When you're attracted to somebody through a soul vibration, there is an overwhelming sense of knowing immediately upon meeting them. And if you're at all aware, your energy field goes ballistic when you meet them. You're just, filled with, it's like being electrocuted almost. There's so much energy at the recognition of, wow, this is someone who really gets me. And it's not conscious. You just know that, wow, I know you. And the mind might try to immediately say, well, how is that possible? I just met this person. But on a soul level, And unless people know to ask for that, they will continue to have relationships that are based on the energies of their personality. And again, we're not all at the same level of consciousness, but the work that I do with people or what I show people is really who they really are at a soul level. And I would say anybody who's worked with me has been changed in such a way that they couldn't go back to where they were again, ever. And once you experience this level of intensity and deep love, it's hard to, quote unquote, settle for something less.
It's almost like a drug, except just natural, because that's our birthright, to be multidimensional and to be, in joy and bliss and awe and wonder. And Sarah, do you want to tell us the difference between twin flames and soulmates? I remember one time we were speaking, you were sharing how there is 3 kinds of soulmates, and people's idea of twin flames compared to your understanding of twin flames. If you can remember all those questions.
Yeah, it's not so much three different kinds necessarily. The main energies that I have personally experienced, not a lot of people talk about twin rays. A twin ray, so it's like if we look at ourselves as coming from source, you could call it source, God, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, but I equate it to the sun. Literally, you're looking at the sun, and the sun has everything. There's nothing not within it. And so that sun has rays, and each ray represents, let me put it another way, the sun actually would be the twin ray, and then all the rays that come out would be the twin flame. And that for each ray that comes out of the sun, you split that ray in half, and that would be what I would consider your twin flame. And yet you have all the elements of male and female within one. There's not, the only thing that makes us male or female really is our body parts. I can look at somebody and it doesn't even matter, if their form as a male or a female, I can read their energy and see what energy is dominant in them. And predominantly, the feminine energy is inclusive. It takes everything in. It doesn't separate things out. It doesn't segregate things out. So it's kind of like the feeling of unity. It's unification of all things. It doesn't say, oh, that's a tree, that's a dog, that's a cat, here's a person. It's all about unity consciousness. And the masculine energy dominantly looks at, how do I individuate, how do I separate? And that's why males and females have had such a hard time with one another, because the feminine wants to bring everything in, and the male wants to to exude outward and bring into form a tangible expression. But ultimately, our original point of creation as beings, we all were androgynous. Mm-hmm. So we had equal parts male and female energy. And the way that we experience one another, well, and again, in the higher dimensions, we didn't necessarily have physical forms. So what I have experienced here, on planet Earth, although it's not really been with both my feet on the ground most of the time, is a type of fusion with beings who are most closely aligned to my signature, my essence, mm-hmm. my unique, the unique part of me, or the individual expression of what I call God or Goddess. And in that way, that's how you know. I mean, even physical human sex is really a replication of what is done in the higher dimensions, and has been referred to me as cosmic sex. So the two bodies aligning, literally trying to get inside one another, is kind of a watered-down version of what we do as galactics. Because, cosmic sex really is about fusion. There's no male and female. You literally come into alignment with somebody who is on your same wavelength at an essence level, and there's no thought. You just meld into each other. You just fuse into, your consciousness becomes a single consciousness. So there is no male or female. There's no giving and receiving. You're just there in your wholeness, and there's nothing to say and there's nothing to do. You just feel that oneness that we all talk about. Everyone wants to know what it feels like to be unified and to be one. And when you're really with somebody who aligns with your essence, you don't have to do a thing. It just happens spontaneously.
It reminds me